So this is my review on Joker 2. Now, I was really excited for this movie, and I got to see it at an advanced screening early ahead of time when it came out. I was not a fan of this movie. As someone who loves the first Joker movie, it's one of my favorite DC films. I love the new version of Joker, what they did in that movie. This movie was the biggest disappointment of the year so far for me when it comes to a sequel coming off the original. And this movie just to me was just not very good. Let me start with the positives though. Is that this is a very well shot movie. Cinematography wise, production wise, this is a very nice looking movie. And I think Joaquin Phoenix is still great in this version of the Joker. I think he's still great in the role in this movie. He delivers a great performance. And I think Lady Gaga is great for what she's given to do, but one of my negatives with her is that they don't give a character enough depth in my opinion, and I feel like the love story between them and her character is just very underwritten in this movie. But she's great for what she's given to do. And she, singing wise, she does a good job singing. There's times in this movie where I feel like the songs are trying to be bad on purpose because of unstable people. And I'm going to talk about the musical element because that's obviously a big element of the movie. But she's great for what she's given to do, and she can sing, obviously. So, like, acting wise, it's great. And the one security guard, I can't remember the name of the actors, the one security guard that also talks to at the Arkham, I did like his character. But that's about it. Like, the writing in this movie just didn't work. Like, to me, one of the issues I have with this movie is, like I said, the love story is underwritten between Harley Quinn and Joker. I'm not a fan of the ending. They try to flip it on its head, where where Harley Quinn's it's kind of a reversed relationship, like it sometimes is in like it's they kind of flip on its head in this movie where Harley's not really the love-sick one relationship. It's like Arthur, and she just abandons him at the end. Spoiler wise, abandons him at the end, which I wasn't a fan of. I just feel like her character is also underwritten, like I said. They don't give her enough depth, enough like exploration for character. I think the Arthur character, I understand what they were trying to do in this movie, where like a moment in the courtroom where he says he's not the Joker, he's tired of trying to be the Joker. I get what they were trying to do with this being more of an Arthur movie than a Joker movie. But the execution for me just did not work in this movie. There's still great moments in this movie, acting wise. Yeah, absolutely. Great performances, like I said. But the execution of how the story's written, I just felt like it was really bad. Like the whole idea of trying to make this all about Arthur, it just didn't work for me. And like I said, I wasn't a fan of the ending. I think the musical element in this movie just did not work for me at all. Like this to me is a worst musical movie, and this is too many songs in this movie, and the songs don't particularly work for me, and they feel like commercial breaks. It feels like they don't add anything to the plot. They don't add anything to what the characters are thinking that we already didn't know from the dialogue in the movie. One in the previous movie with this Joker, like they don't add anything. They just feel like they're just there just to put them there to make this movie different from the first one. And this movie just look. Every movie is a cash grab. Every movie, whether it's an original movie, remake, sequel, prequel, every movie is made to make money. That's the truth. So I have no problem with making a sequel to the original because that movie made $1 billion. It got Joaquin Phoenix awards. It made sense to make a sequel, even though originally that was going to be a standalone movie. But this movie just feels so unnecessary to the point where it just feels like it's retreading stuff from the first movie, and not as well, in my opinion. It just feels like a lot of stuff in this movie with this version of Austin and Joker is stuff we've already covered in the first movie, done much better. It just doesn't feel like this really does anything new, so it just ends up feeling like a very unnecessary sequel to the original. Like to me, the original is a great stand. Should have been a standalone movie, which it was originally going to be. But this movie just feels so unnecessary. It doesn't add anything new, and also this movie doesn't know what it wants to be. Like I can't like do most of them like in this movie. It's trying to tell a story between two psychopaths, a love story. It's trying to be a courtroom drama. It's trying to be a musical. And I wish they just took out the musical elements out of this movie and just made it a courtroom drama and a love story. We'll just pick one of those three. Stick with one thing in this movie because this movie, like I said, is trying to be a courtroom drama. It's trying to be, which could have been interesting if executed well, and it's trying to be a love story between two psychopaths and a movie about like Arthur. But it's more of an Arthur movie. But yeah, and a musical movie. So it's trying to do so many things in this movie, but everything feels on a win. And the actor who plays the Harvey Dent in this movie, I feel like they just put him in there just to have a Batman reference in there, but his character really doesn't add anything to this movie. Like you could have just had a no-name lawyer be in the movie. It just felt like to me they were like, oh, we gotta put a Batman reference in there, so let's just put Harvey Dent in there for no purpose. Because he literally could have been just a random lawyer in this movie. Like there's nothing about his character that feels like Harvey Dent to me. There's a shot at the end where the building blows up in the courtroom and you see his face looking a little messed up. A nod. But the actor who played Harvey Dent, I just found this version of Harvey Dent to be very kind of like one note when it comes to like just feels like any lawyer I've seen in other movies. So it's not the actor's fault. I just don't think they give his character anything to really do in this movie or make this Harvey Dent all that interesting. This movie is just dull in the first half. Like I love my dark movies. The first Joker movie, because I know some people will say you don't like this movie because it's not about the whys of the Joker, and it does something different. It takes a swing. Which, look, I can respect a movie taking a creative swing and doing something different. And I was excited going into this movie with the fact they were going to add a musical element because it looked like okay, they're going to do something different. And I like the fact when you have a sequel that doesn't just repeat the first one. But I can admire them taking a swing and going against expectations, but the execution, like I keep saying, was not done well in this movie. When it comes to the musical elements, when it comes to the stories trying to tell it Arthur, it feels like it's just repeating things from the first movie that we already knew. And the love story just feeling very underwritten, and the ending, I hate the ending. I'm not a fan of it. Like the idea of flipping the relationship on its head where Harley Quinn's the one and Joker was like a fantasy, and this wasn't really the Joker. Was I understand what they were trying to do, and personally for me, I would have liked to have seen the whys because here's the problem I have with them trying to go backwards and make this an awesome movie. This is one of the issues I have with this, is that the way the first movie ends with the mental institution scene, where you see him kill the person he's talking to, you see him run around in the place with blood and everything. To me, at the end of that first movie, is him embracing the Joker personality. In this movie, it's like they took a step backwards, and it just, to me, contradicts how his character ends in the first movie with him embracing the personality of the Joker with the last scene of that movie. So it just feels like it just feels like they're going backwards with the character. And I just overall just didn't find this like that compelling when you ended the first movie with that last scene of him embracing the Joker personality. It just didn't make sense to me story wise from where the character ends in the first movie with that last scene. So it makes it again feel like an unnecessary sequel. So like this movie, and like I said, this movie is pretty dull at the beginning for the most part for me. And the musical elements just feel so much like commercial breaks and just take me out of the movie. It just this to me is the worst musical movie where it just feels like okay, you just put it in there just to be different. It doesn't add anything. So like I said, positive wise, it's a well shot movie. Production wise, design wise, how the movie looks, it's well acted. But the writing and the swing they took in this movie, just execution wise, did not work for me personally. And if you enjoyed Joker 2 or love Joker 2, that's awesome. But that doesn't mean it's gonna work for everybody. And it's just this is a movie that took a swing, it didn't execute it well for me personally. And it just was a movie that I just was not a fan of. So that's my review on Joker 2. If you like I said, if you enjoy love this movie, awesome. I celebrate that. I wish I did. But yeah, this was one of the worst movies of the year for me personally. So that's my thoughts on Joker 2. Until next time, movie fans.